Let us recap what has happened so far, in case you are not caught up. I need to move. Hold on, I need to. Just ignore that! Ignore that! I need to move this over here. I need to use my second monitor. Okay. In case you are not caught up on what has happened so far, I'm just gonna make it bigger, so you can see a bit better. Okay. So, 72 hours ago, we found out that Dundee was missing. How did we originally find out? Okay. So it all began when Dundee...
Today is the day, right? Kidnapping base.
Dundee and the boys, the rest of the BBMC, went to the casino after Dundee received a call that he would receive a brand new sports car. There was a guy there, a French dude, and said, "Oh, oui, bonjour, you will find this car." Dundee's like, "Oh my god, free car!" He gets in the car. Oh my god, he's so happy. Dundee finally up good. Wins a free car. Gets in the car, starts to drive away. All of a sudden, police, that's the police colors. Police sirens and colors. Police! 5 cars emerged from out of nowhere. Put your fucking hands in the air! A bunch of people come out. Oh my god, this was a setup! Capital D colon. It was a setup the entire time. How do I... It was a setup. D flees in the car. Epic cop chase. 6 cops on him. He's driving the car. Cops in the background. These are the cop cars in the background. Speed lines. D gets in an epic chase. Manages to get away while on the phone with Barry, trying to organize, set up. Our coordination skills are fucking awful. He manages just to outdrive them. Gets away. D gets away. He ditches the car. D goes over here. He goes on the phone to Barry. Barry answers. Barry answers the phone. He's happy. He's so happy that his husband Dundee has escaped. Dundee says, "Alright, it's a setup, whatever. I'm gonna ditch the car and I'm gonna steal a new car." As he's lockpicking a new car, this is a different scene. This is... On the phone, we hear D say, "Oh shit, there's a few cops." I don't know the exact words, but he says like, "Oh, I see some cops down here. Close by." You know what D says? He says... He says, do a speech bubble. "I'm gonna make a statement." And that was the last time that Barry heard from Dundee. The last words he ever said. So now Barry doesn't know what's happening. All he knows is that D's making a statement. But he's sad because he's worried. Sad face. This is where you put the sad face in chat. He's crying. Because he fears something is wrong. He hasn't heard back from Dundee now for over an hour. 1 hour passes. 2 hours pass. Okay, that's... Why did the music get real... 3 hours pass! 4 hours! 5 hours! 6 hours! 7 hours! He hears nothing! Barry starts calling up everybody! That's the phone signals. Calls up Riley. "Oh my god, what's happened?" Capital D colon. Calls up Malachi. Nobody knows what the fuck's happened. He calls up Jade. He calls Colin. Nobody fucking knows. Riley gets the sneaking suspicion that if Dundee is not picking up the phone, there's only one place he can be. In prison. He must be in prison. So what do? We start checking the newspapers. All of us, we gather up. All the boys. That's me, Colin, and Riley. We start checking the newspapers. But wait. Nothing in the newspapers. Nothing. So then I say, I go, Dundee has not called us. He's not attempted any form of communication, anyone from the BBMC. And you know Deed says, yap. Which means, it can only mean one thing. That somebody has taken his phone off him. But he's not in prison. Which means, for the past 4 hours, he was being interrogated before the tsunami. This is me having like a brain blast. It's like the light bulb. Light bulb. Can I... Where's the fill bucket? Light bulb goes off. Light bulb in Barry's head. We wait till after tsunami. We check the newspapers again. Nothing. Still nothing in the newspapers, which means he hasn't been sent to prison yet. Which is really odd. What happens next? Fuck, what does happen next? We ask everybody. I think the day ended with us just not knowing what the fuck happened. We start... Oh, no. Riley, the brainiac of the BBMC. She's a girl, so she's got long hair. Starts contacting everybody she knows that might have any information. Who would have any... Let me ask you this, chat. Who is somebody in this city that would have information? A news reporter. Riley gets on the phone. Calls up Ursula, which Barry is also close with. And actually, Barry was calling Ursula as well, but Barry was a bit slow because Riley already did it. So Barry was... Ursula already knows. This is me shocked because Ursula found out already. Barry gets on the phone to Ursula. Ursula says, yeah, Riley already called me. I'm looking into where Dundee is right now. Once I know, I'll let you know. Okay. The day ends! That's how the first day that we fight, the first 24 hours of D ends. The next day, we wake up in the city. I make a very dramatic statement to myself. It's epic. I call up Colin. He says, do you want to fuck with Ricky LaFleur? I say, there's no time! Ursula calls me. No, do I call Ursula or does she call me? I think I call Ursula. Barry calls Ursula and says... He's not smiling. He's still sad because where's Dundee? Still sad. Calls up Ursula. Ursula says, I have some information. Because the reason we're calling... Again, the reason we're calling Ursula is because she's a fucking news reporter. If anyone's gonna know where somebody who's been arrested is going, it's gonna be a news reporter. Ursula says... I have some information. I turned from a sad face to a shocked face. Capital D colon once again. Ursula says... I spoke to this Australian cop. And he said... that on the way... from PD to Bolingbrook. Dundee went missing. Biggest capital D colon you've ever seen! Oh my god! Wait, this is Ursula on the phone. She spoke to an Australian cop and she said, he told me that on the way to Bolingbrook, Dundee disappeared. Oh my god, the biggest news we've heard in the last 24 hours. Quick! I gather everybody that's awake. Colin. And Pez. I mean, yeah, Pez. They hear the news. They also capital D colon. This is me, the leader. I say, boys. This is what I say. I say, I've only ever interacted with one Australian cop. I don't know any other cops that are Australian. And what's the cop that we have outrun in multiple chases, chat, who happened to be Australian because we could tell immediately by their voice when he was yelling at us from outside the car? Croc. I say to the boys, boys, come in close. I put my arms around them. I say, boys, come in close. I don't know why I'm so fucking tall. I say, boys, I think I know who's going to give us the next piece of information. We need to get in contact with the officer named Croc. I say to the boys, why is this not... Where's the rubber? Hold on. Get rid of this. I say to the boys, okay, we need to contact this Australian officer, which I'm just going to assume is Croc, because in Barry's knowledge, he's the only Australian cop that exists. How are we going to get in touch with this guy? We can't just call him up by our number. He's not going to give information to somebody who is very known, affiliated with BBMC, because he always wears the fucking jacket. I say to myself, I think in my head. We need to get, first of all, we need to get Croc's number. We go to the PD, police department. I say, hey, is there an officer named Croc on duty? The guy behind the desk says, yes, there is. I say, damn it, give me his number! Give it to me! He says, I can't do that. I don't have his number. Oh my god, my face. Somebody that works at PD doesn't have his number. He says, if you want to get Croc's number, you can dial 311. And apparently all police see that or some shit. I don't know how it works. I say, okay. Goodbye, fuck you, you were useless to me. Fuck, every person I've run into at the PD that works behind that counter, useless. Absolute useless. Get rid of him. Why is this here again? Get rid of this. Useless. Useless. Absolutely useless. Okay, but now we know how we can obtain his number. But we can't 311. Because when you 311, it just says your full fucking name. We call up Ash. I call up Ash. Things are getting serious. That's why the music went intense. Ash picks up the phone. I say, Ash. She's shocked. Oh, Ash doesn't even know the news yet. And Mick Flair. I called Mick Flair. Oh, I called Ash and Mick Flair. Two people that I'm pretty close with that could maybe help us. Mick Flair is also shocked. I tell them the news. Dundee is missing. Now, both of them know that Dundee is also missing because maybe they can help our cause. I get Mick to call 311 because it'll come under his number. Same thing with Ash. They both call up 311 requesting Croc's number, saying it's some kind of emergency, but not saying it's linked to the disappearance of Dundee. This is when things get serious. About 30 minutes later, almost at the same time, Ash and Mick both message me back with a number. They give me Croc's number. Jackpot, baby. Now we have Croc's number. The person that we know apparently has at least a little bit of information about the scenario. I call the boys. No, wait, I think I call Croc first. No, I call the boys first. The boys are back. I'm kind of happy now because we've got a lead. I call the boys. I put my arms around them. I put my arms around the boys. And I say, boys, we're gonna have to disguise ourselves. I put on a beard, I put on a hat. I say, the only way we're gonna get more information out of the officers is if we put on a disguise. And who, chat, may I ask you, would be the most likely that the cops would help out? Who is somebody that would know Dundee that the cops are very likely to help out? Family. We have to disguise as Erwin Dundee's 3 gay dads. Because does anyone know Dundee's parents? I don't think so. At least that's what we were gambling on. We band together. We come up with really shitty disguises. I don't even think I put on a voice because, you know, Dundee's Australian. So I was like, fuck it. I'll just do my Australian normal voice. Works out perfectly. We meet up with Croc. We call Croc and we say, hey, we're his gay dads. We want to know about the disappearance of Dundee. He tells us to meet him at the PD. Okay. We get in our family sedan. That's the worst. Fuck me, that's the worst car. That's meant to be a car. It kind of looks like a pram. We saw a baby in the pram as well on the way. There was a mother. It's unrelated, but there was a mother. She's got a dick. What's going on here? Okay, getting sidetracked. We meet Dundee at the PD. This is all of us. We're happy now because we've got leads. Dundee's here. He's angry because Croc's always a fucking asshole and I hate him. We meet up with Croc. He reveals to us. Sorry, I meant Croc, not fuck. We meet up with Croc. Because those are not the same person. They are different people. We meet up with Croc. Croc reveals to us that he was in fact not the person that was responsible for that case. But he knows who was. Croc reveals to us and says, if you want to find more information about the case, you need to talk to Officer Bass. Like a fish. We've interacted with Bass, but only 1 or 2 times before when we got him to call up my mother to get out of a speeding ticket. All 3 of us head inside to the PD. Croc says, he takes us up to the meeting room and says, wait here. While waiting there, all 3 of us, Colin turns to me and says, I can't be here because I've met Bass before and he could know my face because Colin's disguise was just not good enough. Colin walks out. So it's just me and Pez. In the room adjacent to us, we see 3 people talking. 3 officers talking. You know, us being the curious minds, we wander over to the side because one of them we know is Bass. Because we can see him through the window. There's a window here. So now, Pez and myself are overhearing conversations that are happening between Bass and 2 other officers which we don't know. I don't remember exactly what they say, but they talk about D and they talk about some other shit. My fucking fish brain can't really my goldfish brain can't really realize what the fuck they're talking. They say a bunch of shit. Mainly just about the D case. Whatever. That's not important. I kind of forgot everything. There was probably there was probably a clue that we heard there, but I completely forgot about it. Anyway. After that, Bass comes out. Man, this is a long... this was meant to be like a 30-second recap. Whatever. Fuck it. We'll go with it. Bass comes out. He brings me and Pez to a meeting room. We sit down over here. Again, we are still dressed up. We are still dressed up as Dundee's parents. Bass shows us a whiteboard. And you know what Bass says? Where's my sailor hat? Okay, Pez has got a sailor hat on. You know what Bass says to us? Bass sits us both down and says, boys, your son is a terrorist. Oh my god! Gasp! What? My boy, my beautiful Erwin, is a terrorist. He says yes. Yesterday, he kidnapped a judge and shot a bunch of cops, apparently, during like a sting operation. I don't know if he said he shot a bunch of cops, but we know he shot a bunch of... he probably said he shot cops as well. But we know from being at because Barry was there. The dads weren't there. But we know he shot cops as well, so that's probably part of it. He says, yes, your son is a terrorist. And he was wanted by the police. We brought him down to PD. Did all the processing. This is when Bass reveals to us that after he was brought to PD, he was escorted to Bolingbrook Penitentiary. Penitentiary. What was that? It's so hard to say. He's got a stick as well. He's got a stick and he's pointing to the thing. He says, I was the escorting officer of Irwin Dundee. This is why Bass is important, because he was the one actually, I don't know if he processed him, or at the very least, he reveals that he was the one escorting him to Bolingbrook. This is his police hat. He had a police hat on. I forgot to mention that. He's got a police hat and it's got like a little badge. Oh, Croc also came in. Croc was also standing there, but he doesn't really... He doesn't really say anything. He just kind of stands there. Bass reveals that he alone escorted Dundee to a penitentiary. Immediately, fireworks stop blasting off in my brain, because remember, this is still Barry. Fireworks. Pew, 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 pew. You're gonna escort a terrorist to Bolingbrook Penitentiary alone. Immediately, fireworks are going off. Already, I'm starting to get sus of Bass. He says, on the way to Bolingbrook, which we already know, he reveals to us that something happened, which we already know of. All we know at this point is that Dundee is missing. Bash reveals to us that on the way, 2 assailants rock up in a sedan while they were in their cop car. And I think, from my memory, he may have said something else about D screaming that if these guys get him out, that he'd give him 50k. I don't know where that plays into the story. Maybe when they were but why? But how could D have screamed that? Did a random car just pull up? It doesn't make any fucking sense. Even Bass's story is already not really making sense to me while this is happening. Because the way he tells this story, he kind of like doesn't line up a lot of stuff how it should be. So immediately I'm like, okay, some of this story already doesn't make sense. Whatever. Bass's story, he says, a car rocks up, 2 guys get out of the car and start opening fire on the police vehicle. Bass says he got out and ran to a rock like a little pussy boy, like all of the cops in this city. Ran away from the cop car like a little pussy boy. Runs over here. Hides behind the rock like every fucking cop in this city would. God forbid you try and save someone from being shot at. No, you're gonna run over here to a rock. Like every fucking cop in the city. Oh, good. Wait. Another point, which I'm in character right now, so I'm just gonna. This is Barry talking right now. Instead of driving away, Bass said he got out and ran to a rock. If a car pulled up and started shooting at you, you're gonna tell me that you're gonna get out of the car and run to a rock instead of just driving the fuck away. Interesting. Anyway, let's move on. That doesn't make sense either. Another discrepancy in the story that doesn't quite make sense. Anyway, Bass says they opened fire and somehow they managed to... So D's still in the back of the cop car at this point, because that's where he would be escorted. Bass says that he's in the back of the police vehicle. Well, I assume he's in the... He doesn't explicitly say it. He says that D was just being escorted. So D is still in the back of the cop car. Here's my question. How did these guys, while shooting with Bass, manage to lockpick a police... would the police vehicle be unlocked? I guess Bass got out, so maybe it was unlocked. But no, you wouldn't have Okay. Okay, we'll say whether it was locked or not, they either lockpicked Dundee to get him out of the car, or it was unlocked and they just escorted him out and took him off while Bass was hiding behind a rock. And that is the story that Bass tells. But as we know, chat, and even just how we summed up there, a lot of the story doesn't make sense. How do I make it new? Just new. Don't look at that! Ah, fuck, hold on. Okay. A lot of the story doesn't make sense. What happens next? I think we finish the meeting. As posing as David Dundee, the parents of Erwin Dundee, we say, hey, if there's any other information you can give us about this, we say to Bass that we are going to start looking for D, and if we find him, that we just want to know that he's safe. So this is our cover. We just want to know that Dundee is safe. So obviously the cop's going to say, okay, that's reasonable. So that justifies us to start searching around. We say, hey, what can we do to help? Bass says, some things you can do. You can start calling up his known assailants. You know, you can start looking around. He just kind of says, hey, you can just call up people he might know and maybe they would know. So that gives us now reason to start calling random people. Which we do anyway. Oh, also, during the meeting, Bass showed us 2 images of the crime scene. So we saw that at least there were bullets that were fired on the crime scene. He shows us 2 images of bullets being fired scattered on a highway. That's also fucking there. Whatever. So, what do we do first? Colin rejoins us after the meeting. What's the first thing we can do? We start calling up people. I call up Benji. He doesn't fucking know. Barry gets on the phone to Benji. Hey Benji, have you seen Dundee? This is Benji on the other line. He starts laughing hysterically. Okay. So Barry calls Benji and says Dundee's missing, tells him all about it. Now Benji knows that Dundee's missing. Benji says, how long are you going to search for Dundee? Barry says, until I find him. Benji starts laughing hysterically in Barry's face, saying that you're never going to find him in a day, which he ended up being right. Barry thought that maybe he could find him that same day, but he was naive. Why does Barry have 3 arms? Oh, fuck. So Benji was no help to us. We reveal stuff to Benji. Whatever. We call up Ash as well, because she was the one that gave us the number originally, so we want to inform her. Barry calls up Ash. Phone ringing. Ash picks up. Oh, wait, no. She's shocked. Barry reveals all of the information we have to Ash as well. Barry's also shocked. Capital D colon. After revealing all the information to Ash, the other piece of info we get, this is the only other piece of info that we've been able to follow up on. Ash says something really weird. She says yesterday, when she was going fishing, she was going with Riley, Malachi, and a girl named 4T. And Ash says, on the fishing trip, Riley and Mal weren't able to do it, and apparently 4T was annoyed about it or something. She says 4T kept saying some really weird shit. Without even being prompted, apparently, Ash says to Barry that 4T was saying to her how weird it is when people just disappear and reappear. And apparently, I don't know the exact conversation because Barry wasn't there. She says that 4T at some point mentioned Dundee's name and kept bringing him up for some reason and saying how weird it is that people can disappear. This is without, as far as we're concerned, we are the only people that know at this point that D is actually missing. Whatever. So now, we have two leads. We have the lead on this weird, how weird it is that 40 knows about D. I mean, we know that she has a lot of friends in the city. She could have found it that way, but it's still weird that she knows about D missing without it being super public knowledge. Boom! Barry's light bulb pops off again. Now we have two options. Things are getting intense. A light bulb pops in Barry's head. We have two options now. This is the path in the fucking what's that detective fucking game? The multiple choice one. Detroit Become Human. This is when you're standing in the middle of the screen and two options pop up. You have option A. Option A. Bass's story isn't correct, and Bass is lying in some way in fabricating the story, which means the cops are behind it. Which, from prior knowledge, we know that cops can be dirty as fuck. We've had history within our own club that Wrangler has completely lied, so it's not far-fetched to think that a police officer would be involved. We also know from Dundee's telling to Barry and the rest of BBMC that a cop has put his head in a washing machine before. I think he said Andrews. I don't know if that was related to Bass. I'm pretty sure the name he said was Andrews. So we know that cops can be fucking dirty. So option A, we have to find a way to interrogate a cop. The only cop that we know that was on the scene, which was Bass. Because according to Bass's story, he was the only cop escorting a terrorist to prison. So option A is we follow up the cop route. And we kidnap Bass. Masked up, obviously. Kidnap. And see if we can find any other information about what actually happened. If it's not true. Or option B. Which we tried to pursue a little bit. We believe that 4T knows more than what she's letting on. We called up Ash to have another conversation with it. That's what led to the Giuseppe and Pistachio shit. Because we were monitoring Ash while she was on a fishing trip with 4T. Because even though she's not on 4T's list, Ash still seemed to think that she could have got more information out of her just by asking. So we followed that up a little bit. Ash goes on the boat. Says that 4T reveals bits and pieces about how she's got cops as friends and that she's done bodyguard work before. But nothing concrete about if she knows anything about what happened to Dundee. So, the only option we're left with is now finding, because apparently according to Riley and Malachi and after talking with a bunch of people who know her from BBMC, that 4T has a friends list which she fucking just her whole fucking personality is based off apparently this list, and the higher number on the list you are, the more she'll talk to you, or she's friends with you, that kind of shit, whatever. So now our only options are we find somebody who's really high on 4T's list and get them to ask 4T directly about what happened to D to see if she reveals any more information about it. Or, our only other option, because the only other cop we know that was directly involved with D's situation is Bass. Now you're caught up to date with where we are. Our two options are to either mask up and kidnap the fuck out of Bass and torture him until he tells us everything he knows to figure out if this story was fabricated or not. Or, and if it's not fabricated and we get nothing out of it, then we can confirm that there was two other people involved, so it was another group, which means if it links up with the 4T shit, it means that 4T would know what happened. If Bass isn't lying and two people randomly kidnapped him and he's out there somewhere, then it means the 4T option is more likely. Or if we torture him and find something else out, we might even be able to find the exact location. If the cops are involved, then it means it was just an elaborate setup and they know exactly where he is. Or we go the 4T route and she reveals to us what happened if she was the one involved. And that's where we're up to. Round of applause, thank you. Now you are caught up to the current date. We are currently waiting on Malachi and Riley to wake up in the city.
For chocolate milk.
To wake up in the city so that we can follow one of these two leads, because if we're gonna kidnap a fucking cop, we can't do it with one or two people. We need at least 4 of us. So now, we're waiting to see if we can find someone to talk to 4T, or if that leads nowhere, our only other option is going to have to kidnap a fucking police officer and torture the fuck out of him and find out if what he actually said in that meeting is true or not. And that's where we're up to.